understand the dangers of accepting and using the fictional name, your name in all capital letters, or preceded by the title Mr., Mrs., Ms., or followed by titles like Esquire and the like. You might be thinking a name change will do the trick here, but you should ask yourself why it is that in order to legally change your name, it has to be done through the court system. The reason is because the name that you're trying to change doesn't belong to you. It's the name the system created for you. So after all said and done, you'll have achieved nothing more than creating another legal fiction. And you can change your name lawfully as often as you like. But a rose by any other name, a slave by any other name is still a slave, unless you start acting like the sovereign that you are. Take the time to explore the sites that Robert Menard is involved with, theworldfreemansociety.org, thinkfree.ca, thinkfreeforums.org. There are plenty of people on there who can guide you, who are perhaps a little further down the path than you are.
Those are definitely good resources, ladies and gentlemen. And again, I want to remind everybody to start at Bursting the Bubbles of Government Deception by Rob Menard. You can see it free on YouTube. So one of the things that I asked the anti-terrorist to describe so you can hear it with his words is, what exactly is a legal fiction?
Well, let's say you've decided to go into business for yourself and you've thought up a clever name for your company. Everything you've read and the advice received from a solicitor or a lawyer or a friend suggests that you should incorporate your business. To incorporate is to create a business on paper. It isn't real. It's a business in theory, which makes it a fiction. The legal professional or accountant you hire to prepare your corporation registers your business with the state as a state corporation and identifies you as the president of the board of directors, not the owner. Your business is now a corporate fiction, and by registering the business as a state corporation, you no longer own it. The state owns it. You just gave your business away and made yourself an employee. Our presumed government representatives have done the same thing to each of us. They've changed each of us from a sovereign into a corporate fiction. On every form you file to receive government benefits, even the voter registration form, there's a question that asks, are you a United Kingdom or United States citizen? Yes or no? And everyone circles the yes answer, didn't you? Now look up the definition of a citizen in a decent law dictionary, like Black's or Ballantyne's, and you'll discover that a citizen is a phrase designed to identify a corporate fiction. Citizen, resident, taxpayer, person, driver, individual, and individual person all have the same meaning. These terms denote artificial entities or titles of nobility that have made themselves subject by accepting government benefits to the jurisdiction of the state.
I completely agree with that, ladies and gentlemen. I think that the welfare state that we live in is not only a detriment to our economy, but it's also showing the government that we're children and that we need to be led like children. If we need to be fed and clothed and told what time to go to sleep and what time to go out and what time to go to work, they're going to continue to treat us like children. So part of the free man philosophy, this being a sovereign on the land, is being able to grasp that and standing up and saying, okay, wait a minute, I'm the master of the house. This is my house. I'm no longer a child. I no longer need my diapers changed, and I'm going to leave, and I'm going to be back whenever I feel like coming back. So what we need to do is take hold of our rights, claim our rights, and say, this is our house. This isn't their house. This is our house. And the first thing that we need to do is get rid of that person and realize that we're human beings. We're spiritual beings of God. We're not a person. A person is basically a legal fiction. But that's another thing that I asked the anti-terrorist to describe is, what exactly is a person and what's the difference between a person and a human being? So this is how he replied.
Well, this is essentially the same question, but according to statute and code, a person is defined as a corporation, franchise, an individual, of or relating to a single person or thing, as opposed to a group, Black's 8th Dictionary, a body politic, and sometimes a human being. They're all artificial entities.
Next, I asked him to elaborate a little bit about what his definition of a human being is, and his answer was actually very, very interesting. So let's go to that.
You could argue that you're not a corporation or a franchise or an individual, but surely you must be a human being, right? Well, if you look into Ballantyne's Law Dictionary, 1930, where it says human being, it simply says sea monster. Okay, so let's see monster. A monster, a human being by birth, but in some part resembling a lower animal. A monster hath no inheritable blood and cannot be heir to any land. Now, common sense would tell you that you don't want to be one of those. I am a man, no more, no less.
So, is he trying to say that the government thinks we're animals or monsters or something? Because it says that it's a person by birth, but that cannot inherit land.
Well, according to, what is it, Ballantyne's Law Dictionary, 1930, the definition of a human being says sea monster. And that's really the case. And this is something that I just stumbled across, and if I'm wrong in using the terminology, I'm a human being, my life has value, then it just goes to show the steps that we take as we become closer and closer to the truth. And it's all a path that you walk on. I mean, nobody knows this knowledge completely. You know, you walk the path and you get closer and closer and closer. It's something I want to do a little more research on, because this is kind of a weird point of view. But if you go and you research it, yes, it really does say that. Now, why does it say that? That's the question that we need to ask.
Oh, but the part about not being able to inherit land, that's not right.
No, that's right, too. That's the definition of a monster.
Well, but wouldn't that mean that we couldn't own land?
Well, that's the definition according to Ballantyne's Law Dictionary, 1930. Monster is a human being by birth, but in some part resembling a lower animal. A monster hath no inheritable blood and cannot be heir to any land.
Well, according to uslegal.com, it says human beings law and legal definition. There are various definitions for a human being. Biologically, they are classified as hominids of the species Homo sapiens, which are a primate species of mammal with a highly developed brain. Humans have the highest brain to body mass ratio of all large animals. They have a life expectancy approaching 80 years old in wealthy nations, walk on 2 feet, and have opposable thumbs. Skin color ranges from almost black to pale pinkish white. Height and weight varies depending on locality, historical factors, environmental and cultural factors such as diet. Human beings are characterized by the ability to speak. They have a high capacity for abstract thinking and are commonly thought to possess a spirit or a soul which transcends the physical body. The spiritual aspect of human beings is often defined in terms of rituals and religion. Theories involving the definition of the beginning of human life, evolution, and creationism are hotly debated topics in the law.
You know, I'm looking over here on dictionary.com, and it says any individual of the genus Homo, a member of the species Homo sapiens. Number 2 is very interesting here. It says a person, especially as distinguished from other animals or as representing the human species. Living conditions not fit for human beings, a very generous human being. So there it is right there, saying, again, linking the human being with the person. And when the anti-terrorist talks, I think he's speaking more on the common law perspective and the contractual law and things like that. So he takes every definition as the legal definition, which in a contract, in law, that's what it is. It's a contract. These laws that you have when you get a speeding ticket, you're contracting with them to pay the speeding ticket. And so when it says human being, I guess he really has a point there. That's a very, very, very interesting perspective. And it goes back to the linking the straw man up, too. The straw man was created by the birth certificate. Your identification number is your Social Security number. And so we asked him, too, about the straw man, and here was his answer about that.
Well, again, essentially, this is the same question. It's important to note that the straw man, the person, the corporate fiction, the legal fiction, they're all essentially the same thing. It's a form of identification. The majority of people in the world carry identification cards issued by others. This allows others to create the persona and the lawful standing of the man or woman. Although most people carry ID cards, they've absolutely no foundation in law whatsoever. There is no law written that obliges anyone to carry any type of ID. The only time anyone is required to have ID is to access so-called benefits and privileges granted by the issuer. No matter what type of ID you carry, one thing is for sure, you didn't issue it to yourself. You willfully applied for the ID, hoping to receive some sort of special privilege or benefit granted by the authority. And most people don't realize that when they're applying for some sort of ID card via that person, they're giving up certain rights. Now, we need to take a moment to define the difference between so-called natural rights, which are unalienable and not within the power of the government to grant, and benefits and privileges, which obviously are. Natural rights include, but are not limited to, the right to contract, work, get married, travel, own property, open a business, choose your own destiny, worship whatever god you like, defend yourself, etc. Privileges and benefits may include any activity that gives the beneficiary a special advantage not usually granted to the general public. These special advantages are usually granted via license or permit. Now, a license is defined as permission given by a competent authority to do something that would otherwise be unlawful. The question is, do you, as most people believe, need permission in the form of a license or a permit to contract, work, get married, travel, choose your own destiny, and so on? Well, the answer is no, you don't. That is, unless you voluntarily or by your own free will and volition apply for, are granted, and accept the